Center. This is a severe weather alert.
And welcome to WVUA News. We are breaking into programming now as we continue to update you on the severe winter weather going on across the state of Alabama. We have some treacherous road conditions out there across much of the area. We want to start with we're awaiting a press conference from Alabama Governor Robert Bentley, and we'll get to that in just a moment as soon as that begins. But we start with Tuscaloosa County EMA Director David Harton, who joins us on the phone. He's been out and about in Tuscaloosa. And David, what have you seen out there around the area?
The main thing we're seeing now is, traffic is very backed up. People trying to get to cross the river bridges and such. I'm not having any trouble driving on the roadway, but it is slick. There are areas in the county in particular, we were asked a little earlier, were there any roads closed, and there were two that they're working on now to get back open. That's Lot 17 Road and portions of Covered Bridge Road. That's up near the Brookwood area. But as crews are identifying troubled areas, they are responding to that, but it's going to take, people need to be patient in traveling, to getting home or to their destination, simply because it's a lot of traffic out there and people are driving slowly, which is appropriate for those conditions.
And do you have any advice for people who might try to get out on the roadways tonight?
The safest thing is if you don't have to go, don't. The roads now, the ones I'm looking at, I pulled over the side of the road so I could answer the call. You can see moisture on them, but we're looking at 22, 24 degrees, and as the traffic gets off these roads and the wind doesn't seem to be blowing like it was a little earlier, that moisture is going to freeze, and that's going to make it, driving conditions not what people want to be out in.
All right, thank you so much, David. The governor is taken to the podium, so we're going to now take him live from Montgomery. Here's Governor Robert Bentley.
All right, guys, shh. Can we mute that in here? Good afternoon. First of all, let me say that during emergencies, when we have weather emergencies here in the state of Alabama, I want to particularly thank our media outlets for what they do for us as we try to get the message out across the state, dealing with the people of our state, and today is no exception. So first of all, let me thank you for what you're doing. Our meteorologists, thank you for what you're doing. All the people, all of our outlets, you help us in getting out our message. Joining me today is our Alabama Emergency Management Agency Director, Art Faulkner. Also, I have with us other essential members of my administration, our mayor and our county commissioners here in the Montgomery area. We have been on the phone today with our National Weather Service in Calera, getting continual updates over what has transpired. This morning, the state of emergency that I declared yesterday went into effect at 6 a.m. and will remain in effect as long as necessary. The Alabama Emergency Agency is activated at the present time at a level 2 and is closely monitoring the needs coming in from the counties all across the state. As you see from the map, we have a difference of what we expected. We did not expect the freezing rain to go as far north as it has, but we can never predict the weather correctly. This is not something that's missed by our meteorologists. We just did not know that. But we have to deal with the consequences of what takes place. and that's exactly what we're going to do as we're taking care of the emergencies that have occurred here in the state of Alabama. The division offices of Alabama Emergencies agencies, these response agencies in not only in Mobile, Troy, and Montgomery, but also in the Birmingham area have been fully activated, have been mobilized, and we have vehicles and equipment that are available. Please understand this. We are aware of the severity of this winter storm. We're using every state resource that is necessary to assist in this need. All state emergency response personnel are out helping in this response. I would like to say that this is a very dangerous situation. People need to stay at home. They need to stay there until conditions improve. State government offices will be closed the rest of today. They will be closed all day tomorrow and will reopen at noon on Thursday for all non-emergency response staff. I have activated now 350 of our National Guardsmen who will be available to assist first responders and citizens during this time of emergency. If you have an emergency, please dial 911. If you have a roadside assistance emergency, call star HP for our highway patrol. But you need to keep in mind that you need to dial 911 for a true emergency. One of the problems that has just been brought to my attention just in the last few minutes, there are a number of our schools across the state where parents are having difficulty getting to their children. I understand the anxiety and the concern of the parents who cannot get to their children. These are occurring in some schools in Shelby County, Jefferson County, Talladega County, and I know the anxiety there that results from that. But I want to reassure all the parents that if you trust your teacher to take care of your child during the day, they will be taken care of tonight. Now, the good thing that has occurred, if there's any good out of this, is we have not had a lot of icing on our power lines, and there are not a lot of power lines down. And in fact, loss of power across the state is minimal. If a school does lose power, we have our National Guardsmen to help with the transportation of students to a place of safety if this were to take place. So I want to reassure all parents across the state today that your children in these schools will be taken care of. We're going to take care of the people of this state. If you have a neighbor who has problems, please call someone and let us know that they need help. Let's do like we did during the tornadoes. Let us look after our neighbors. Neighbors look after neighbors in Alabama. That's what we do. We take care of each other. So I can assure that people of the state, the parents of this state, that their children will be taken care of. I will be on the phone continually with Dr. Bice, and we will monitor this situation as it does develop. But if they are in school, be assured that they will be taken care of, and if they do lose heat, we will make sure that situation is remedied also. You know, Alabamians are no stranger to severe weather, but we're not used to this significant ice and sleet and snow that we're experiencing today. But if you look at the maps, it's happening all in the southeast. And it's not only in this state, but it's in other states also. One of the best things, though, about Alabamians, as I said, is their concern for each other. So I encourage you to check on each other. The elderly, those that are homebound, those that need help. This is a time for faith-based organizations to step up, for churches to step up. But let me tell you, you cannot be out on the roads right now. So call the appropriate responders to make sure that your neighbors are taken care of. Now, if you can walk somewhere without falling and getting hurt, that's a different situation. But we do not need a lot of people out on the roads right now. I'm going to call to the microphone now Art Faulkner, who is our Director of Emergency Management in Alabama, and let him talk to you just for a second.
Thank you, Governor. As we said yesterday afternoon, this has been expected in the state for several days. All of the measures that the governor said yesterday would be put into place were, and even though the freezing rain and sleet line shifted northward, we were still able this morning to respond to the situations that we had occurring. One of our primary issues this morning has been situations where the bridges and overpasses, even though the ground was warm enough to melt the freezing precipitation, those bridges and overpasses froze over very quickly. Alabama Department of Transportation has been working continuously to try to make sure that those major thoroughfares are opened first. However, that problem has been compounded by the accidents that are occurring. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you're able to get off of the highway, even if you're not able to make it home, if you're able to get to a safe location and get off of the highway, then to go ahead and to do that as quickly as possible. The Alabama Emergency Management Agency is monitoring the situations. The governor has upped some of the things today to make sure that we have the appropriate response personnel to be able to handle some of the problems that are happening and occurring north of Montgomery. And the primary situation that we have right now is that if you're stuck in your car, stay in your car. The weather right now, the temperatures and the wind chill, if you step out of your car, are very dangerous. So you need to stay in your car and you need to call 911, even if you don't know the location that you're in. We have technology in place to be able to find you and to get the appropriate people out there to get you out of that situation. If you run out of gas, stay in your vehicle and call for help, and we can get someone out there as quickly as possible. If you're on the roadways and you're stopped, and the Alabama Department of Transportation are our local officials, because it's not only a state effort. We have thousands of local officials and responders that are working throughout the state to also help. But if the roads do become open and you've been stranded in them, you need to proceed very, very cautiously, because the first wreck that happens in front of you is going to stop that traffic again. And it's only going to delay you being able to get to your facilities. If you have needs that, as the governor stated, are not emergency, if you're at home and you have a need, there are 67 local emergency management agencies in this state that are there and activated to be able to help you with what you need. Finally, what I would say is this, that the temperature is not going to rise any higher in most locations today. So if there is ice in your area, that ice is more than likely going to stay on the ground or on the roadway or on the bridge until either sometime tomorrow, and in some cases it may be sometimes Thursday. So you need to monitor your local media and look at the temperatures before you go out. And even once the temperature does start rising above freezing, low-lying areas and bridges could be some of the last areas to be able to thaw. So be very cautious and be very careful, and hopefully we can do everything that we need to do to take care of our citizens over the next several days.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Do you have an estimate of how many children might be stuck at schools?
We do not yet. I just got off the phone with Dr. Bice. We actually do not know the total number of schools. Some parents may be able to get to their children, but we have to be very careful about that. If we have too many automobiles out on the highways, then it just, and accidents occur, it's just really going to create a lot of problems. I just want to reassure the parents of this state that those children are taken care of during the day by those great teachers that we have in this state and the great principals that we have across this state, and they will be taken care of. They will be fed. They will be taken care of tonight, so they do not have to worry about that. Yes, sir.
Do you have a list of the schools you do know about where students are?
We do have a preliminary list, and we can give those to you. But we do not have a final list. And in fact, even at those schools, some of the children may have been able to be retrieved by their parents. But we really don't want a lot of the buses out in the rural areas, and so it makes it difficult to get some of the children home. But we can get a final list for you as the day goes on.
Governor, are you making plans or using the National Guard to bring in bedding and those sorts of things? How are you handling the kids that will have to stay in the schools overnight?
Well, as I said, we have just learned about this. We will make sure that the children are taken care of, and so whatever is needed, we'll make sure it gets to those children. Do you have anything specific, Art, on that?
Yes, sir, Governor. Let me just say that individuals currently at the State Emergency Operations Center are working with the locals, officials, to make sure that, and even the local superintendents, that if there are situations and it is safe for them to get those cots and all there, that they could do that. Primarily, we're concerned about life essential supplies such as the food and/or the heating, and we'll make sure that if we have to do that, that we will only put those first responders in danger in life-threatening situations. But we are discussing that now, and contingency plans are ongoing.
Yes, sir.
Yesterday you mentioned moving some weather-related equipment south from the northern part of the state because that's where things are expected to be. How do you get that stuff back up to the north where it's needed?
Well, let me ask my Department of Transportation Director, John Cooper, to come and speak to that. John?
We did move a great deal of equipment that normally would be in our 3 divisions that are most northern, first up in Gunnersville, second in Tuscumbia, and third in Birmingham. And that's become particularly problematic in the Birmingham area. We have routed additional equipment from the 2 more northern divisions who were not hit as hard into the Birmingham area, and some of that is in transit now. The equipment that has been moved south, most of it is far south, some of it all the way to the coast, and is needed there. And so we will be moving that back over the next 2 days, but I do not expect that to occur until tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
For the children that are stranded at school, are most of those situations where it was just unsafe to send the buses out?
Yes, or it was unsafe for the parents to come and pick their children up. As I said, I have just been made aware of this just within the last few minutes before our press conference, but we will be monitoring this situation, and we will have a list later this afternoon of the schools that are affected.
Governor, what areas of the state have been hardest hit so far? Has it been more ice or snow? And what kind of accumulations are you hearing?
Well, I really, the worst problem obviously is the ice situation. And it's on the roads. I mean, we're not having the icing on the power lines yet, and hopefully we will not have that. The power outage has been very minimal, that's a blessing. And if the power stays on, we're going to be okay. It's just a matter of ice, and it was just higher in the state, farther north in the state than we anticipated. I don't think the accumulations of snow itself, except on bridges where they have already iced over and then the snow covers them, then that can create some problems, of course. But I think that basically this is an ice situation, and it's danger when people get out on the roads causing the accidents.
Governor, how is your office finding out about or how is the State Department of Education finding out about the students stuff in schools? Are you hearing it from
We are in contact with Dr. Tommy Bice, our head of our Department of Education, and we were on the phone with him just a few minutes ago. And as I said, we will see which schools are affected, and we can get a list to you as soon as we find this out.
Governor, do you know of anyone else stuck in any other kind of situation at a business or any other location?
Well, I think there are people stuck on the roads all over the state, and especially in the Birmingham area and the Tuscaloosa area, and people are trying to get home from work. And the more people that are on the highways, the more difficult it makes it. And so as you look at the map and you see where most of the icing is occurring, it's along the I-20 corridor. And of course somewhat south of that, but most of the icing is occurring in those areas. And of course that's the high-density population areas of the state also. Yes, sir.
This may be specific to the location, but I know a lot of children in these schools are going to have to take medications at night, things like that. Is that part of the planning to get that stuff to them?
We will get that to them if that is necessary. We will make sure that if a student has medical needs, that's why we've activated our National Guard. We will do what's necessary to get what is needed for the children. Yes. Okay, well, listen, again, I'd like to thank all of you that are in the press. Thank you for helping us get this word out, and I appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
We've been listening to Governor Dr. Robert Bentley talk about the state's response to this severe winter weather that we've had across our area. I just want to reiterate some of the things he said, that we are under a state of emergency. That was effective as of 6 a.m. this morning. It will remain into effect as long as necessary. And they are rerouting some of the state's resources that were moved down to South Alabama, which we thought we were going to need them there. Some of those will be rerouted up here to Central Alabama. He has activated 350 National Guardsmen to help in various parts of the state, help local law enforcement. Also, something that we did not know, and the governor just found out about, there are some school children stuck at some local schools, and he says that the National Guard is dispersing out food and aid to those children who are stuck there with the parents not being able to get to them. So he says those children will be taken care of. We'll have more on that as the night goes